ground vehicle. Throughout this presentation, we'll be referring to that either as a UGV or a JUGV. So, now when I was younger, I had a vision. Before this whole DM transnational engineering thing came together, I walked up to my dad and I said, Dad, I want to build the Department of Defense, a joint unmanned ground vehicle. He looked at me like I was kind of crazy, but then he said, but you know what, we can build a little hovercraft. So this is what we came up with, and this is a pretty solid design. Our design really hasn't evolved much since then, so this is our design. We're asking for $50 million up front for each of them.
You said it hasn't evolved much?
Oh yeah, this is our design, so you can just flip to page 9.
It's ready to go.
Flip to page 9, you can just sign there.
Alright, so she's not the best salesperson, but we do, nonetheless, Jen has recognized that we do have a problem in the art. There is a shortfall, and we need a technological advantage to change the game in warfare, change the nature of how we fight ground combat. And she is on the right track with the hovercraft when she was younger, and we're going to show you right now.
This is Average Joe. This is the system we designed to come up with the solution for not only the Army, the DoD. This is a highly mobile, deployable, and survivable piece of technology that is going to change combat for the future. You can turn to page 5 on the digital copies, and you can see the complete design architecture we have. It includes all the electronic components, and it also has the design frame and all the armor it possesses.
It's made with two 240 medium machine guns. It's completely integrated within the force right now with the weaponry that we do have. It's all Mark V technology, top of the line. It's really ready to go. You can add proprietary technology to this, recognizing verbal interfaces, automated command, verbal following. The future is really limited for this platform.
Like I said, it hasn't developed much since my design. So we have a problem here. So we live in an age of technology where we can communicate with each other within seconds, yet we're still putting soldiers on the front lines in very dangerous environments. So we want to make this JUGV remotely operated so soldiers don't have to go into those dangerous environments. But we don't want to overdo it. We want to have the same ammunition as before so it's compatible with other weapon systems. We want to make sure it's that it can be projected and deployable within 96 hours, so for rapid deployment, it can be used all over the world. And it has to be ready upon arrival, so there's no maintenance going on. It has to be able to navigate through all terrains. We're not limited to just going in the desert or in the jungles. It can go everywhere, anywhere in the entire world.
Yeah, we're good here, Chief. Can you keep going?
Yes, sir.
Now this is actually the cool part. This is the whole data. It actually shows that Average Joe beat our other system designs, which was the Black Mamba and the Honey Badger. Not only did it beat it, but it shows that it has room to evolve. Evolving is the future. And even though it's not ideal, it has potential to be one of the best systems that the Army will, or the DoD will potentially receive. And with the potential of evolving, the DoD will want more in terms of another design, which will make the Average Joe 2.0, which they'll be a returning customer. Also, not only did the Average Joe hit one mine and survive, but it actually survived 2 mines. This is saying what other JUGV can survive 2 mines in this current process. So as we go to our next slide, we can show that the Average Joe can actually traverse to the Venezuelan jungle, as you can see, through the lakes. And Venezuela is currently a hot spot, and it can also survive through other enemy terrain, such as
it's very survivable in the deserts of Yemen. This is a scenario that we're currently involved with, deserts and all the terrain of Afghanistan. In fact, the only thing it cannot navigate are steep mountains. And you're going to see later exactly everything that this thing can navigate. It is all terrain and it can handle anything you put it in.
That's pretty impressive. Can you guys go back to the stack bar thing?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How do you define success rate?
Success rate is if it destroyed all of the enemies that we did active and inactive enemies, and success rate is if it survived and killed all the enemies within the given time.
Okay, so it's just on the lethal portion of the test?
Right, what you're not going to see here is like maybe our deployability index and logistics index. And also what that really doesn't show right now is the survival rate that we have of success with hitting landmines and how fast it did it.
Okay.
So I don't think this really does as much justice for the Average Joe as it should.
Okay.
But nonetheless, this does show that it is really superior. And Black Mamba, when we approached this, Black Mamba was the closest model we could get to Lockheed Martin's Future Combat System Mule. the six-wheel vehicle they had, and the shortcoming of that was it was too heavy, didn't have a high survivability of landmines and land site
Yeah.
control. So that's the
But Black Mamba is a wheeled vehicle.
right.
See, I'm not a big hovercraft fan. I think that stuff is pretty sci-fi.
Well, sir,
Not to mention
it
noise.
does show here that hovercraft is the future technology because they beat the two-wheeled vehicles.
No offense to Gene and her dad, but I just, but I mean, it looks pretty close. It's like 85 versus 83, so give me the wheels, man.
Well, sir, that's not it. The cost graph we have, it shows that average Joe is $140,000, yes, per unit. for
Okay,
Black
so
Mamba.
it's a cost issue here.
And it's not going to be much more quieter as you might think as a hovercraft, because it did have diesel engines, because that was really the only way we could put a lot of oomph behind that
All right.
to the 35 mile
Okay,
mark.
keep going.
So like we said, we can go through the jungles of Venezuela, deserts of Yemen.
Then we have somewhere like Moscow, which is in the Moscow region, western Russia. That land is really undefensible. Large expanses on the European plain. How are you going to get across that land when there's no natural barriers to protect you from? Well, our JUGV is highly maneuverable and it can survive a lot of hits from any enemy contact and really make it to the urban center where it can thrive as well and overcome challenges that maybe the Mule for Future Combat System and other technologies that might exist.
And it can also go through the hills of North Korea. Even though it can't maneuver up steep mountains, it can still run through these hills. And if it becomes in a defensive position, it can, as you can see here, just roll down these hills across the valley, across the lake, and escape unharmed. And like we said before, it was able to take 2 mines, and North Korea is the country with the highest rate of minefield. So as you can see,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. C's got to go to Singapore. Can we talk cost real quick?
Sir,
so
so how are we gonna make you money? This is how we're gonna make all your money. That's why y'all are here. Y'all want the money. It's cheap. It's $140,000 less per unit than our other best scenario. It's effective. It has dominated all of the scenarios and simulations we have came up with. So somebody's gonna wanna buy this piece of technology. And also, we can do this now. We are partnered with Lockheed Martin, and all they need is some investors to get this ball rolling. We can have 1,000 units out, and we can make you $70 million off of a $200 million investment in no time. That's for 1,000 units. Cost-wise, $140,000 less than our next best.
So Lockheed's kind of like the devil around here. I mean, you made a deal with the devil, so what did you give Lockheed?
We did nothing, actually. All well, nothing is kind of relative. We partnered with them. We came up with design solutions, and they gave us their infrastructure for a portion of the profits. So they're gonna build the system, and they're gonna develop the system.
They have the network and infrastructure already.
So what
That's
do
the
you
most
ask for?
important thing.
What are you asking for?
So, sir, we're asking for $200,000 per unit, so which means we're asking for $200 million to build a unit. And therefore, the profit that you'll make is an 18% profit in our 41% profit, which is a $7 million profit out of our 200, out of the 200
Okay, so
million.
you're basically, you need us to help fund some of Lockheed's production costs,
Yes, sir.
and you're giving us what?
$70 million in return.
You're giving me $70 million over the life.
Over the lifespan of 12 years.
So you're giving me $70,000 per unit? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What was your budget?
Our budget was $600,000 per unit. We actually got it to $610,000. So with that, we can actually take off the radar, which we kind of did not need, and we can make it less than the budget.
And we made everything Mark V on this platform. And even when you put it in maybe Mark III for all the systems on this platform, it still outperformed the Black Mamba and the Honey Badger. So you can make this thing cheaper, make it leaner, make it meaner, and it's still going to outperform.
And not only that, the market base for this will be more than just the Army. This thing is deployable as an amphibious vehicle on water. You can bring this in from the beach. This can go to the Navy, the Coast Guard, Border Patrol, Marine Corps, and the Army. You can sell this to the whole DoD and make a killing.
Yeah. So what other designs did you all look at?
So, as I said, we looked at the Black Mamba and the Honey Badger, which were two-wheeled vehicles that we tried out, and the average Joe outperformed both of
What
them.
about a track chassis? You guys tried
We
any
tried both medium and large. We put that in our pamphlet, if you refer to that, for our different screening matrix. We really also tried, because our
That's
frame of
page
mind,
7.
because our frame of mind was really to look at the hovercraft, because it still had the speed, it had the traversability over uneven terrain and water, and even still the small sized hovercraft still outperformed every other unit.
It will not have as much firepower as its larger predecessors, but it will have the maneuverability, the speed, and the deployability that the Army and the DoD needs right now.
Sir, I'm telling you right now, gentlemen, that this is the future of the Department of Defense.
I'm a little worried about that video, you know, showing Cadet Parker riding around this little girl and saying that it hasn't progressed. What's the range of this hovercraft? What's the range?
Range is 15 to 20 kilometers.
15 to 20 kilometers. How's that compare with the wheeled vehicles?
The wheeled vehicles are, they're all about the same for range.
So I'm not giving up anything on range?
You're not giving up anything, sir.
What was your runner-up alternative?
Our runner-up was Black Mamba.
How much did it cost?
It was $750,000 per unit procurement.
And this one was worth, this is 610,000?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I think I can't emphasize enough that like the Black Mamba was the same model. We tried to make it as close as possible to the mule from Lockheed Martin's Future Combat System, the contract that they got from the Department of Defense. And it almost won out. They almost kept that system, but the nature of the game has changed. They need a lighter vehicle, a cheaper vehicle, one that can traverse more terrain, and that's what the average Joe does.
Yeah, I like what you guys have done. I think you guys got a great team, a lot of confidence here. So you've done a lot of work. I hate Lockheed Martin. So
How much money did they give you, Lockheed Martin? Are they giving you, how much money are they giving you?
Out of our 41% profit margins, you're going to be getting 18% of that. So leftovers go to us for the profit margins.
yeah, so what is Lockheed getting?
So they're paying for about $100,000. So what they'll get is 9%.
You're giving them 9%, and you're offering us 14%,
We're offering you guys 17%.
17%. So I'd like to get Lockheed's 9%. So what can you guys?
18% then.
So I want 18%.
Double.
Right. So what do you want from me for 18%?
What we want from you for 18% is $200,000 per unit.
Okay. So let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
That's my offer.
Deal.
200,000 for 18.
Deal.
You guys?
That's 200,000 per unit, right? Over the whole life cycle?
For 12 years, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you guys 200,000 per unit, and you're gonna give me 18%. Your profit margin, you said, was 70 million or something?
That's for you.
Okay.
That's 70 million that you will
Over
retain
all
back.
the units.
Over all
1,000
units
units.
out of the 12 years.
It should have gone up then. Now you got more. Yeah, okay, I can't beat that.
All right.
I'm out.
It's a deal.
I can't touch it.
No.
Can't touch it.
Very good.
gentlemen.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good
Look
luck.
forward to working with you.
Appreciate it.
Good
Thank you,
luck.
sir.
Good luck.
Guys,
Good luck.
All right, yeah, real quick, AR, and we got to go to the next
Good
team.
job.
All right.